Jai Gurudev. Today we are taking a deep dive into Bob Dylan's iconic song "A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall" through the lens of spirituality and wisdom from the Art of Living Foundation. To guide us in this conversation, we have an Art of Living expert who will help us understand the profound meaning behind Dylan's lyrics and how it aligns with Gurudev Shishi Ravi Shankarji's teachings, particularly his journey with his father Acharya Ratnananji. Yes, thank you. It's a pleasure to explore this beautiful piece of music in a spiritual context, especially through the teachings of Gurudev. A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall is a powerful song, and when we look at it through the father son conversation lens, it takes on an even deeper significance which resonates with the way Gurudev might have engaged with his father in their spiritual journey. The first line is, "Oh, where have you been, my blue eyed son?" and "Oh, where have you been, my darling young one?" This opening line is a father's inquiry, much like the inquiry we see in spiritual traditions where the teacher asks the student about their experiences. Gurudev's father, Acharya Ratnananji, was a deeply spiritual man who introduced Gurudev to the ancient wisdom of the Vedas and Upanishads. Their conversations would often explore where Gurudev had been emotionally, spiritually, and intellectually on his journey through life. This echoes the art of living practice of deep introspection through meditation. Gurudev's discovery of Sudarshan Kriya was not just an external experience, but also an internal one where he understood the deeper layers of consciousness and how to handle life's challenges. So now let's begin by looking at the first lines of the song. "Oh, where have you been, my blue-eyed son? Oh, where have you been, my darling and young one?" How do you interpret this father-son exchange through the lens of the spiritual teachings from the art of living? These lines set the tone for a father-son conversation, and they remind me of the bond between Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankarji and his father in spirituality. The father figure represents wisdom, guidance, and protection, while the son represents the seeker, the one who is on a journey of exploration and learning. When we look at this through the lens of art of living, we can imagine this exchange as a moment of introspection, just as the father in the song asks his son where he has been. Acharya Ratnananji may have guided Gurudev to explore the deeper truths of life through meditation and Sudarshan Kriya. The seeker is invited to look within to understand where they have been emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. The question is not just about physical journeys, but also the inner journey of consciousness. The next lines are, "I have stumbled on the side of 12 misty mountains. I have walked and have crawled on 6 crooked highways." What do these images symbolize, especially in the context of Gurudev's teachings? These lines are filled with powerful imagery. The misty mountains and crooked highways could represent the obstacles and challenges that we all face in life. In the spiritual path, these are the tests that help us grow. They symbolize confusion, hardship, and the trials we encounter as we navigate the world. In the teachings of Gurudev, he often speaks about how meditation and Sudarshan Kriya help us clear the fog from our minds, much like clearing mist from mountains. Through practices like pranayama, we learn to rise above these challenges and gain clarity. The crooked highways could also symbolize the twists and turns in life, our struggles, our doubts, and our fears. Through seva or selfless service, we find purpose. Even in difficult times, these teachings encourage us to keep walking, no matter how difficult the journey may seem. Dylan then writes, "I have been out in front of a dozen dead oceans, and I have been 10,000 miles in the mouth of a graveyard." How can we relate this to the current state of the world and how art of living practices help in healing? These lines evoke a sense of hopelessness and despair. The dead oceans and graveyard symbolize loss, destruction, and the overwhelming nature of the challenges we face globally, whether it's environmental destruction, societal conflicts, or internal turmoil. Gurudev often talks about the current state of the world and its increasing stress, anxiety, and environmental degradation. However, his teachings also emphasize that even in the face of such overwhelming odds, we can find hope. Practices like Sudarshan Kriya help cleanse the system of stress and restore balance, while meditation brings inner peace. This inner peace then translates into outer action through seva. We can actively contribute to healing the world, whether it's through environmental initiatives or community service. This aligns with Dylan's message that even though the world seems broken, there is always a way forward. Moving on to, "I saw a newborn baby with wild wolves all around it." How does this image resonate with the teachings of Gurudev, especially about compassion and service? The image of a newborn baby surrounded by wolves evokes vulnerability, innocence in the face of danger, and the harshness of the world. Gurudev often emphasizes the importance of compassion in today's world. The baby represents purity and potential, much like the innate goodness in all of us, but it is surrounded by the harsh realities of life symbolized by the wolves. In the art of living, we are taught to nurture and protect this innocence, not just in others but in ourselves. Compassion and seva are the tools we use to address this. By serving others and spreading love, we protect the vulnerable and help to create a more caring, compassionate world. Whether it's through teaching meditation, offering relief to those in need, or simply sharing kindness, Gurudev's approach is to turn these challenges into opportunities for growth and service. Another powerful line is, I met a young girl, she gave me a rainbow. What is the significance of this, especially in the context of spiritual upliftment? The rainbow is a universal symbol of hope, beauty, and unity after the storm. It signifies that after hardship, there is always the possibility of peace and harmony. In the context of Gurudev's teachings, the rainbow represents the inner joy that comes from spiritual practices. When we practice Sudarshan Kriya and meditation, we move through the storm of stress and emotional turbulence, and what remains is the peace and happiness that naturally exist within us. The young girl giving the rainbow can be seen as the act of sharing this joy with others, which is a key element of art of living. Once we experience inner peace, we are encouraged to share it with the world, much like spreading a rainbow of positivity and light. The refrain of the song is, and it's hard, it's a hard, it's a hard, and it's a hard, and it's a hard, rains are gonna fall. How can we interpret this hard rain in a spiritual context? The hard rain represents a coming challenge, a cleansing, or a reckoning. In spirituality, it can be seen as the trials that humanity faces, whether it's environmental, political, or personal crisis. But rain, though harsh, also has the power to cleanse and renew. In Gurudev's teachings, this hard rain could be likened to the process of purging negativity from our minds and bodies through practices like pranayama and sudarshan kriya. It's not always easy, but once the rain has passed, the air is clearer and the earth is renewed. Similarly, through meditation and spiritual practice, we cleanse our own minds of stress and negativity, making space for peace and positive action. This is how we contribute to creating a better world, by purifying first ourselves and then engaging in seva to uplift others. Finally, what would you say is the overarching message of A Hard Rains Are Gonna Fall when viewed through the lens of Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankar Jesus' teachings? The song speaks to the challenges we face as individuals and as a society, but it also carries a message of hope. Through the teachings of Gurudev, we understand that no matter how difficult life's journey may seem, whether it's facing crooked highways or dead oceans, we always have the tools to rise above. Meditation, pranayama, sudarshan kriya, and seva are the practices that help us navigate life's challenges. They bring us clarity, strength, and purpose. Just as the father in the song listens to his son's experiences and offers understanding, we too can learn to embrace life's challenges not with despair, but with wisdom, resilience, and compassion. In the end, it's not about avoiding the hard rain, but about learning how to thrive despite it, and in turn helping others do the same. This is the essence of art of living and Gurudev's message to the world. And yes, absolutely, the beauty of both Bob Dylan's song and Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankar Ji's teachings is their ability to reflect the universal struggles of humanity while offering solutions rooted in compassion, wisdom, and inner peace. Dylan's song is an anthem of awareness. It opens our eyes to the hardships of life, much like the ancient scriptures, which often present life's struggles as stepping stones to high realization. Through the practices that Gurudev has shared with the world, Sudarshan Kriya, meditation, pranayama, and seva, and also satsang, we learn how to address these struggles in a meaningful way. Instead of being overwhelmed by the hard rain or the difficulties we face, we learn how to purify our mind and body, maintain inner calm, and act from a place of compassion and service. In this way, we don't just weather the storm, we become a source of strength and light for others. Gurudev has often said that. Yes, Gurudev has often said that a calm mind can handle any situation. This is the message I believe we can take from both the song and the teachings of Art of Living. By cultivating inner peace, we can transform the world around us. This connection between inner peace and outer action really resonates with the lyrics of A Hard Rains Are Gonna Fall, especially when we think of the line, I heard the sound of a thunder, it roared out a warning. How does this idea of an impending storm align with the Gurudev's emphasis on mindfulness and proactive service? The sound of a thunder roaring out a warning can be interpreted as the voice of awareness alerting us to the challenges and crises that we see in the world today, whether it's environmental degradation, social unrest, or personal crisis. In Gurudev's teachings, awareness is the first step toward change, just as thunder precedes a storm. Awareness precedes transformation. By becoming aware of the world's problems and our own inner struggles, we are not paralyzed by fear, but rather we become empowered to act. This is where the importance of meditation and mindfulness comes in. Gurudev teaches that mindfulness helps us to stay present, to not be overwhelmed by the past or anxious about the future. From this place of centeredness, we can then take proactive action through seva, whether it's helping our community, contributing to environmental projects, or offering our time and energy to causes that uplift us and others. In this way, the thunder is not a signal of doom, but an invitation to rise and meet the challenges with clarity, wisdom, and compassionate action. This is the true meaning of seva, selfless service that flows naturally from a peaceful, centered mind. That's a powerful way to look at it, turning a warning into a call for compassionate action. Let's reflect on another poignant line from the song. And I'll know my song well before I start singing. How does this idea of knowing one's song before singing relate to the spiritual preparation and discipline emphasized in the art of living? This line speaks deeply to the importance of self awareness and preparation on the spiritual path. In the context of Gurudev's teachings, it reminds us that before we take action in the world, before we sing our song, so to speak, we must first know ourselves, align with our purpose, and develop a strong inner foundation. Meditation and Sudarshan Kriya are key practices in preparing us for this. They allow us to connect deeply with our true nature, to understand our emotions, our thoughts, and our desires. In this way, we know our song. We come to understand who we are at our core before we express ourselves in the world. Furthermore, this preparation isn't just about intellectual knowledge, it's about experiential wisdom. It's about spending time in silence, listening to the inner voice, and allowing that clarity to guide our actions. In a sense, the practices taught by Gurudev help us fine tune our inner instrument so that when we do sing, our actions are aligned with our highest values and we can contribute positively to the world. It seems like the core of both the song and the teachings of Art of Living is about facing the difficulties of the world with a sense of purpose, preparation, and hope. As we wrap up this interview, could you share any final thoughts on how the philosophy of Art of Living can help us navigate the hard rains in our own lives? Yes, the core message of both the song and Gurudev's teachings is that life will always present us with challenges, whether it's personal struggles, societal crisis, or global concerns. But through the practices of meditation, Sudarshan Kriya, Pranayama, and selfless service and satsang, we can develop the strength and clarity to navigate these storms with grace. The hard rain symbolizes the inevitable difficulties we face, but the practices of art of living give us the tools to remain calm, resilient, and positive in the midst of it all. It teaches us that peace is not the absence of challenges, but the ability to maintain equanimity, the compassion in the face of them. As Gurudev often says, inner peace is the foundation of world peace. When we find that peace within ourselves, we naturally become instruments of change, contributing to a better world. This is how we transform both our own lives and the lives of those around us. And this is the message we can take from Bob Dylan's song as well. Even when the rain is hard, we have the power to bring light and hope. Thank you for this insightful discussion. It's clear that the practices and wisdom of art of living not only help us navigate our personal journeys, but also equip us to serve and uplift others, no matter how hard rain may fall. Jai Gurudev. Yes, Jai Gurudev, it's fascinating how the song's imagery filled with hardship and darkness can be reinterpreted through the lens of Gurudev's teachings as an invitation to transformation, both personal and collective. Dylan's warnings of hard rain, when viewed in light of practices like Sudarshan Kriya and Seva, seem to suggest that even the most challenging circumstances can be opportunities for growth. Let's now explore the line, I met a young girl, she gave me a rainbow. How can we interpret this symbol of the rainbow, particularly in relation to the emotional spectrum, and how art of living practices help us navigate our emotions? The rainbow is a powerful symbol of hope, beauty, and positivity that emerges after the storm, and in many ways, it reflects the emotional spectrum we all experience. In the context of the art of living, emotions are like the weather, sometimes turbulent, sometimes calm, but with the right practices, we can navigate through them without being swept away by the storm. Sudarshan Kriya, in particular, is incredibly effective at helping individuals manage their emotions through rhythmic breathing patterns. It balances the mind and emotions, removing stress and toxins. This creates space for positive emotions to arise, much like a rainbow emerging after the rain. The rainbow in the song can symbolize that hope and balance, the promise of emotional clarity and well being after facing life's storms. In art of living, we also recognize that emotions are natural. They come and go like clouds in the sky. The key is not to resist or suppress them, but to acknowledge them, process them, and move forward. Practices like meditation allow us to witness our emotions without getting entangled in them, so we can live with greater freedom and joy. Just like the girl giving the rainbow in the song, life gives us glimpses of beauty and hope amidst the challenges, and it's through inner resilience that we can appreciate and hold on to these moments. That's a beautiful perspective, the rainbow as an embodiment of emotional resilience and hope. The song seems to be full of contrasting images like this, reflecting both the harsh realities of life and the moments of beauty we can find. Another striking image is, I saw guns and sharp swords in the hands of young children. How can we view this stark image through the perspective of Seva and the initiatives that Art of Living has undertaken to promote peace and non-violence? This line is a powerful representation of the innocence lost to violence and conflict. Sadly, it's a reality that many children in war torn areas are forced to grow up too quickly, losing their innocence to the brutal forces of violence. However, from the perspective of seva or selfless service, this image also calls upon us to be agents of change and peace. Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji and the Art of Living Foundation have been actively working in conflict zones and areas of violence, from rehabilitating child soldiers in Africa to promoting peace dialogues in areas of political unrest, including Colombia and Ayodhya and Middle East. The emphasis is always on restoring innocence, peace, and dignity to those affected by violence. One of Gurudev's key messages is that violence ends where love begins, and this philosophy drives much of the humanitarian work done through the foundation through programs like Youth Leadership Training Program (YLTP). The foundation empowers young people, teaching them life skills, leadership, and values that help them transform their communities. Instead of weapons, they are given the tools of meditation, leadership, and nonviolent communication to become ambassadors of peace. This line in Dylan's song is a stark reminder of the work that still needs to be done, but it also echoes Gurudev's vision of a world where youth can be nurtured, not armed, and where peace is cultivated through inner transformation. Seva is about transforming both the inner and outer worlds. By working on ourselves through meditation and breath work, we become more effective in creating lasting change in the world around us. It's inspiring to think about how the message of non-violence and peace can be applied so tangibly in these initiatives. It's a true testament to the power of service combined with the inner strength. One final line from the song that we haven't touched on yet is, I will walk to the depths of the deepest black forest. This seems to symbolize a journey into the unknown or confronting one's deepest fears. How does this idea of walking through darkness relate to the inner journey of self realization that Gurudev often speaks about? This line symbolizes a profound journey into the unknown, which is often how the spiritual path is described, venturing into the depths of the mind and soul, confronting our fears, doubts, and limitations. In Gurudev's teachings, the journey of self realization is much like this walk through the deepest black forest. It can feel intimidating at times as we confront our own shadows, but it is also the path to freedom through meditation. We learn to face these inner fears without being afraid, just as we walk through a forest. Step by step meditation allows us to go deeper within ourselves, layer by layer. What seems dark or so overwhelming at first becomes more manageable as we bring the light of awareness to it. The practices taught by Gurudev, whether it's Sudarshan Kriya, meditation, or even participating in satsangs or doing service activities or seva, uh, are all designed to help us navigate this inner journey. Sudarshan Kriya, for example, helps release deep seated stress and negative emotions, allowing us to face what's inside without fear. As we do this, the darkness recedes and we begin to experience the light within us. the peace, joy, and love that are our true nature. Gurudev often says the purpose of life is to find that infinite joy within. And this journey through the Black Forest is a part of that process. It's about realizing that even in the darkest times, there is light within us, and through spiritual practices, we can access it. It sounds like the song, much like the spiritual journey, reminds us that even the darkest challenges can be pathways to growth and inner freedom. Thank you so much for sharing these insights today. It's been a meaningful conversation connecting the profound imagery of Dylan's song with the wisdom of Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankar Ji's teachings. It's been my pleasure. Both the song and Gurudev's teachings show us that while life presents challenges, we have the tools and wisdom to navigate them with grace, resilience, and compassion. The journey, through some, though sometimes difficult, is always leading us back to our true nature, peace, and love. Jai Gurudev. Let's move on to some other line from the song. One of the most powerful sections is I heard the sound of a thunder, it roared out a warning. What could this thunder symbolize, particularly in relation to how meditation helps us clear the deeper messages life is offering? The sound of a thunder can be seen as a wake up call, a powerful and dramatic signal that something is about to change or shift in life. We often receive these kinds of warnings, whether they come from external events or from within individuals. Meditation helps us become more attuned to these signals. It sharpens our awareness and allows us to pick up on subtle messages that we might otherwise miss in the noise of daily life. In the context of Art of Living, thunder could symbolize the disruptions and upheavals we experience both on an individual and societal level. Sudarshan Kriya and other practices help calm the mind so that we can respond to these challenges with clarity and composure rather than reacting impulsively. Gurudev often speaks of the importance of inner calm in the face of external chaos. Through meditation, we cultivate the ability to listen deeply to ourselves, to the world, and to the wisdom that life is constantly offering. Thunder also represents nature's force. Gurudev teaches that we are intimately connected to nature and its cycles, just as we cannot control the thunder. There are aspects of life we cannot control. However, by aligning ourselves with the rhythms of nature through practices like pranayama and meditation, we can find harmony amidst the storm. That makes a lot of sense how even the unsettling sounds of thunder can be transformative if we learn to listen with a calm mind. The next line I would like to discuss is I met a white man who walked a black dog. How can we interpret this imagery through the lens of Art of Living's emphasis on inclusivity, non duality, and breaking societal barriers? This line portrays a contrast in color, perhaps symbolizing the duality and division often perceived in society, whether racial, social, or ideological. The imagery of a white man and a black dog highlights opposites coexisting together from the perspective of Art of Living. This speaks directly to the idea that all forms of duality are transcended through meditation and self awareness. Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar Ji teaches that beneath all our differences, we share the same essence. We are all connected by the universal consciousness. Meditation helps us experience this non dual awareness that we are not just individuals with separate identities, but part of a collective oneness. Through Sudarshan Kriya and Satsang, we learn to see beyond superficial differences like race, religion, or class and recognize the shared humanity in everyone. This line could also signify the internal dualities we face, light and shadow, good and bad. In life, we all carry our own black dogs or the darker aspects of ourselves, whether they are fears, doubts, or past traumas. The practices of Art of Living help us acknowledge and heal these parts of ourselves, allowing us to walk with them in peace rather than letting them control us. Gurudev encourages us to embrace these dualities without judgment, seeing them as opportunities for personal growth. The journey toward inclusivity, both externally and internally, begins when we transcend duality through the practice of mindfulness, acceptance, and selfless service. That's a profound way to look at it, seeing the union of opposites as part of our spiritual growth and healing. Another powerful and tragic line is I saw a black branch with blood that kept dripping. How do we interpret this image, especially when considering the healing aspects of Art of Living practices in situations of suffering and conflict? This image of the black branch dripping with blood evokes a sense of ongoing pain and suffering, much like the unresolved conflicts and violence we see in today's world. The black branch could symbolize a state of decay or imbalance in society where violence and hatred continue to persist. Yet it is precisely in the face of such suffering that the teachings of Gurudev and the practices of art of living become most relevant. One of the core missions of art of living is to bring healing to individuals and communities affected by conflict and violence. The blood dripping from the branch represents the continuous cycle of suffering, but through practices like Sudarshan Kriya, people are given tools to heal emotionally and mentally. Many people who have gone through trauma, whether it's a war, abuse, or loss, find relief through breath work and meditation as it helps them process and release deeply held stress and pain. Gurudev's peace building efforts, such as bringing together warring factions for dialogue, are aimed at stopping the flow of dripping blood, both literally and metaphorically. Through non-violent communication, peace talks, and trauma relief programs, Art of Living seeks to heal wounds at both an individual and societal level. The black branch can return to health, so to speak, when we apply the principles of compassion, understanding, and inner peace to our outer world. The imagery of the black branch that becomes a symbol not just of suffering but of the potential for healing and regeneration. Moving forward, the song has the line, I heard one person starve, I heard many people laughing. How does this contrast between suffering and ignorance relate to Art of Living's approach to seva and societal upliftment? This stark contrast between one person starving and many people laughing points to the disconnect and inequality that exists in our world. It highlights how suffering is often ignored or overlooked by those who are not directly affected by it. However, Gurudev's teachings emphasize the importance of sensitivity and service, being aware of the suffering around us and taking active steps to alleviate it. Seva or selfless service is one of the main pillars of the art of living. It is through seva that we bridge this gap between those who suffer and those who are in a position to help. The philosophy of seva is that when we serve others, we uplift ourselves as well. It is a way of creating a more compassionate and equitable society. Gurudev often says that joy comes from giving. In the context of this line, while some may laugh in ignorance, true joy and fulfillment come from recognizing the needs of others and responding to them. Art of Living sees many humanitarian projects from providing education and health services to empowering underprivileged communities are practical applications of this philosophy. The act of service connects us to the suffering of others and turns their compassion into action. Through programs like Volunteer for a Better India and other initiatives, Art of Living has been able to bring awareness to the plight of those who are less fortunate and mobilize people to take action. This creates a sense of unity and shared responsibility for the well being of society. It seems that through seva, we can move from ignorance to awareness and from indifference to compassionate action. To finish our discussion, let's explore the final line of the song. And I'll know my song well before I start singing. How does this relate to living a life of purpose and wisdom, as Gurudev often speaks about? This line speaks to the importance of knowing one's purpose and being clear about the message one wishes to share with the world before taking action. It's about inner clarity and alignment, which is a key teaching in Art of Living. Gurudev often says that wisdom arises from a calm mind, and only when we are connected to our inner self can we truly live with purpose and direction. Meditation helps us know our song, it helps us connect to our deeper truth, so that whatever we do in life, we do with full awareness and intention. When we are grounded in this inner wisdom, our actions naturally align with our higher purpose. We are not just reacting to life, but consciously creating a path. This line also suggests the importance of preparation. Just as a singer must know the song before performing, we must be rooted in self awareness and understanding before we can effectively engage with the world. Art of Living provides the tools for this preparation through regular meditation, breath work, and selfless service. We prepare ourselves to face life's challenges with grace and wisdom. In a sense, knowing your song is about living authentically with full awareness of who you are and what you stand for. It's about being in tune with your highest self and letting that guide your actions in the world. Thank you so much for these profound insights. It's clear that the journey described in Dylan's song resonates deeply with the spiritual path. Gurudev has outlined a path of inner clarity, compassion, and purposeful action. Yes, it's been a pleasure. Both the song and Gurudev's teachings remind us that while life is full of challenges, we have the tools to navigate them with wisdom and grace. And through seva, service, and meditation and inner awareness, we can not only heal ourselves but also contribute to healing the world. Jai Gurudev. Yes, Jai Gurudev, this has been a deeply illuminating discussion. I would like to explore how some of these points create a difference in this song. I saw 10,000 talkers whose tongues were all broken. What is the significance of this line, particularly in the context of communication mindfulness, and how silence plays an important role in art of living? This line is a powerful commentary on the disconnection in communication. It suggests that while there are many people speaking, their words lack substance, clarity, or genuine connection. Their tongues are all broken, meaning that they are not able to convey their true feelings or ideas. In the world today, we see a lot of superficial communication, so much talking, but very little listening or understanding. In the context of art of living, silence is as important, if not more important, than speech. Gurudev often emphasizes the value of silence and stillness in achieving clarity of mind and depth of communication. Through practices like Mon or advanced courses, observing silences in the meditation, we learn to become mindful of our words and actions. We begin to speak from a place of awareness and authenticity rather than just reacting or talking for the sake of talking. In silence, we find the space to connect with our deeper self. When we emerge from this silence, our communication is more aligned with our inner truth and our words carry more weight and meaning. This is what the broken tongues in the song lack, the inner connection that makes communication meaningful and transformative. Furthermore, Sudarshan Kriya and Pranayama help in this process by quieting the mental chatter, allowing us to be fully present and aware in our conversations. When we practice these techniques regularly, we become better listeners, more thoughtful speakers, and more compassionate communicators. That's such a rich interpretation how silence rather than broken communication allows us to find our true voice. What about the line, I met one man who was wounded in love, and I met another man who was wounded with hatred? How can we understand the wounds of love and hatred to the lens of Gurudev's teachings and relationships, compassion and forgiveness? This line highlights the two extremes of emotional pain, being wounded by love and being wounded by hatred. Both love and hatred can cause deep suffering, but the nature of that suffering is very different. Being wounded in love often stems from attachment, expectations, and emotional dependence. When love is not met with reciprocation or when it is lost, it can leave a deep wound in the heart. On the other hand, being wounded with hatred arises from anger, resentment, and the inability to forgive. Hatred consumes the person who holds on to it, causing inner turmoil and destruction. Gurudev teaches that love, when it is pure and unconditional, is the greatest healing force in the world. However, love that is tied to expectations or possessiveness can lead to pain. In his teachings, he often speaks about the importance of detachment, not in the sense of being cold or indifferent, but in loving without clinging, without demanding anything in return. This allows love to be expansive and liberating rather than constricting and painful. Hatred, on the other hand, is a form of self punishment. Gurudev emphasizes the importance of forgiveness as a means of freeing ourselves from the chains of hatred. When we forgive, we do not condone the actions of others, but we release ourselves from the emotional baggage that comes with holding on to anger and resentment. Forgiveness is an act of self care, allowing us to heal our wounds and move forward with peace and in our hearts. Through meditation, Sudarshan Kriya, and other spiritual practices, we cultivate compassion and the ability to let go of both the wounds of love and the wounds of hatred. These practices help us heal emotionally and open our hearts to love in a more unconditional and expansive way. Forgiveness and love in their pure form seems to be essential for healing, and that's a key takeaway. Let's look at the refrain, and it's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard, and it's a hard, and it's a hard rains are gonna fall. How can we interpret the repeated refrain of hard rain from the perspective of personal and collective transformation, especially considering the challenges people face today? The repetition of hard rain emphasizes the intensity and inevitability of the challenges that are coming both on personal level and a collective societal level. Hard rain can represent difficulties, struggles, and crises that test us deeply. It can be seen as a cleansing force that washes away the old, but in doing so, it can also be destructive. Many people today face their own hard rains in the form of personal crisis, global challenges, environmental issues, and social unrest. From Gurudev's perspective, these challenges are not meant to be avoided, but to be faced with strength, wisdom, and inner resilience. One of the core teachings of the art of living is that challenges are opportunities for growth. Just as the rain nourishes the earth after it has passed, the difficulties we encounter in life can lead to deeper wisdom, compassion, and transformation if we approach them with the right mindset. This is where spiritual practices come in through meditation, pranayama, and sudarshan kriya. We develop the inner strength to remain calm and centered even in the midst of life's storms. These practices help us release stress and anxiety, allowing us to face challenges with clarity and resilience rather than fear or panic. Gurudev often speaks of the importance of service or seva during times of crisis. When the hard rain falls, we have two choices. We can retreat into ourselves or we can reach out and help others. Through seva, we find meaning and purpose even in the face of adversity. By serving others, we rise above our own difficulties and become a source of strength and inspiration for those around us. In this sense, the hard rain is both a test and a blessing. It challenges us, but it also gives us the opportunity to grow and evolve. And with the tools of meditation, breath work, and seva, we can weather the storm and come out stronger on the other side. This interpretation really brings out the potential for growth and a transformation in the face of adversity. Let's conclude with the idea that this song can be seen as a kind of call to action, much like Gurudev's message of creating a better world through inner peace and collective responsibility. How do you see the connection between the themes of this song and the mission of art of living? Absolutely, this song is a very much a call to action and it resonates deeply with the mission of Art of Living. Bob Dylan's song reflects on the hardships, injustices, and suffering in the world, but it also carries an implicit message of responsibility, the responsibility to face these challenges and take action. In a similar way, Gurudev's teachings are about taking responsibility for our own minds, for the well being of those around us, and for the planet as a whole. Art of Living's mission is to create a stress free, violence free world, and this begins with individual transformation. When we meditate, practice pranayama, and engage in selfless service, we not only transform ourselves but we also contribute to the collective well being. Each person who finds inner peace becomes a source of peace for others. And this creates a ripple effect that can change the world. The hard rain in Dylan's song represents the challenges we face, but through the teachings of Gurudev and the practices of Art of Living, we are equipped to face these challenges with strength, compassion, and wisdom. Whether it's through healing our own inner wounds, helping others through seva, or fostering peace in our communities, we are all called to take action and contribute to creating a better world. In this sense, both the song and Gurudev's teachings remind us that we are not powerless in the face of adversity. We have the tools and the wisdom to make positive difference both in our own lives and in the world at large. This has been a deeply insightful analysis. Thank you so much for shedding light on the profound connections between Bob Dylan's song and the transformative teachings of Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar ji. Yes, it's been a pleasure. Both Dylan's song and Gurudev's teachings inspire us to reflect on our role in the world and the power to have to create positive change through inner peace, compassion, and service to humanity using sadhana, seva, and satsang. Jai Gurudev.